Welcome back, ladies. Have you ever been around a guy and caught yourself wondering, is he just being polite, or is there something else going on? Because let's be honest, men are terrible at hiding attraction. They think they're subtle, but their body, their eyes, their energy, it always gives them away. Have you ever been around a guy and thought to yourself, hold on a second, is he just being polite right now, or is he secretly turned on? Because, let's be honest, men aren't exactly the best at hiding it. They believe they're being subtle, but their body language, their eyes, their overall energy, those things give them away almost every single time. And here's the funny part. A man can sit there insisting he's fine. He can try to look calm and in control, but the moment he's aroused, his behavior shifts. It's like his own body works against him. His tone of voice changes. The way his eyes linger on you changes. Even how he positions himself in the chair changes. Now here's why this actually matters. So many women I talk to tell me, sometimes I just can't figure out if he's being nice or if he's genuinely attracted to me. And that uncertainty can make them misinterpret things, or worse, ignore the signs completely. But when you learn the patterns, when you actually know what clues to pay attention to, you'll start noticing them everywhere. This isn't about being able to read his mind. It's simply about understanding human behavior. Men are fueled by attraction, and when they're in that state, they can't help but give off signals. All you need is to know what to watch for. And today, I'm going to uncover exactly that. The 5 things men tend to do when they're turned on. Some of these are obvious, some are sneaky, and some might just surprise you. But after this, you won't find yourself second-guessing anymore. So lean in, because by the end of this, you'll not only see men in a new way, you'll also hold the power to decode the truth behind every move they make. He becomes extra touchy. When a man is aroused, one of the clearest giveaways is how suddenly physical he gets. It's as though his body turns into a magnet, pulling him closer to you. And here's the part many women miss. He won't always come straight out with some bold move. More often it appears through these small, innocent-looking touches that seem casual on the surface but carry meaning underneath. Think about it. You're sitting next to him on the sofa, and instead of just staying in his own space, his leg gently brushes against yours. He doesn't move it away. In fact, he might shift so the contact increases. That's not a coincidence. Or maybe you're walking together, and he places his hand lightly on your lower back while guiding you through a doorway. It's not dramatic. It's small, but it's his way of closing that physical gap between you. Men do this because touch is one of the most direct ways to express desire. They may not say the words, "I want you," but their hands try to say it for them. Even something simple, like brushing lint off your shirt or tucking a strand of hair behind your ear, carries an unspoken message. I want to touch you, but I'm disguising it so you don't pull away. And it's not just the act of touching, it's what happens after. If he lingers a little longer than needed, if his fingers graze instead of just tapping, or if he smiles nervously right after, that's his desire peeking through. He's testing whether it's safe, whether it's welcome, whether he can go a little further. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. A man who's aroused often disguises his touches as playfulness. He'll wrestle with you over the remote, bump shoulders with you accidentally, or find excuses to give you high fives. Why? Because playfulness gives him an excuse to cross that line without making it feel too serious or obvious. He's gauging your reaction. If you play back, laugh, or don't step away, that signals to him that it's okay to take it up a notch. Of course, not every touch equals attraction. Some guys are naturally more hands-on, but here's how to tell the difference. When a man is turned on, his touches are more intentional. They linger, they repeat, they happen in moments where touch isn't really required. Think about it. He didn't actually need to brush your arm while handing you something, but he did. He didn't have to rest his hand on your thigh while laughing at a joke. Yet somehow, there it is. And here's the deeper truth. Men crave closeness when they're aroused. It's not only about sex, it's also about connection. Physical touch is how they close close the space between their longing and reality. So when you notice a man becoming more handsy, it isn't just about the surface action. It's his way of saying, I want to be nearer to you, I want to feel you. So the next time he gets extra touchy, don't just dismiss it as chance. Pay attention to how often it happens. Notice if there's a spark in his eyes behind it, because his hands often reveal the truth that his words are trying to cover. His voice drops and slows down. One of the most fascinating signs that a guy is aroused, and most women don't realize this, is the way his voice shifts. It's almost automatic, like his body betraying him without him even realizing. Suddenly, his speech is slower. His tone drops lower, becomes smoother, more deliberate. He might not even be aware he's doing it, but you notice. See, men are wired biologically so that when they're sexually drawn to someone, their body naturally wants to project masculinity. That's just biology. A deeper voice unconsciously signals confidence, strength, and yes, sexual interest. So when a man is around you and suddenly starts sounding like he's auditioning to narrate a late-night romance audiobook, you can bet there's something going on beneath the surface. Let's make this real. Imagine you're having a casual conversation about something as ordinary as what to eat for dinner. Normally, he's upbeat, maybe even a little animated. But when he's turned on, he slows down. He stretches out his words a little longer. He lets pauses hang between sentences. It's like he's savoring the exchange. He's savoring you. He's not in a hurry because desire pulls him fully into the present. And sometimes he does it intentionally because he knows a slower, deeper voice can sound more attractive, so he leans into it on purpose. But more often, it happens naturally. His hormones are firing, his body relaxes, and his vocal cords just settle into that lower pitch. It's not strategy, it's instinct. If you're tuned in, you'll notice the shift immediately. Here's another detail. Men often combine this voice change with more intimate conversation. He'll lean closer, drop his tone, and say something meant only for you. Maybe it's a compliment, maybe a cheeky comment. Either way, he wants the moment to feel private, like a little world the two of you share. That's why his voice slows. It creates intimacy. Have you ever had a man talk to you in a way that made the whole room disappear? That's exactly what's happening here. His deeper, slower voice is his way of saying, I want you to feel me differently. I want you to notice me as a man, not just a buddy. And let's not forget, being turned on creates tension. A man who's in that state may use his voice as a tool to manage it. Instead of just blurting out what's on his mind, he wraps it in that smoother delivery. It's like his way of testing the water without fully exposing himself. He wants to see if his tone alone is enough to draw you closer. And here's the most powerful part. The voice is hard to fake for long. Sure, anyone can drop their voice lower for a line or two, but when a man is truly aroused, the entire rhythm of how he speaks changes. He pauses more often. He picks his words with extra care. Sometimes he even loses track of what he wanted to say because half of his attention is on the conversation while the other half is somewhere else completely. So when you hear a man's voice deepen, when it slows and carries that heavy tone, notice it. That's no longer just casual talk. That's his desire sneaking into every single word. It's his way of pulling you closer into his energy without having to admit it out loud. Because here's the reality. Men can try to keep their thoughts private, but their voices expose them every single time. He can't stop looking at you. One of the strongest signs a man is turned on is written directly in his eyes. You've heard the saying, the eyes never lie. And when it comes to attraction, that's completely true. A man might try to play it cool, keep his hands in his pockets, lean back like nothing is happening, act as if he's totally relaxed, but his eyes will always give him away. Here's what happens when he's aroused. He simply can't stop watching you. He's pulled in. His attention goes to your lips, your shape, the way you move. And here's the part that reveals it. He doesn't just glance once. His eyes keep coming back to you, almost like a magnet. Even when he forces himself to look elsewhere, it plays out the same way. You notice him staring, and instantly he shifts his gaze, maybe to his glass, his phone, or the ceiling, anywhere but at you. That quick move isn't because he doesn't care, it's because he does. He doesn't want you to see how much he's thinking about you in that exact second. And this is not random. It's biology. When men feel desire, their pupils expand, their attention sharpens, and their eyes begin searching for visual details. That's why you'll see him focusing on your mouth when you speak, or tracing your outline as you move. It's not just attraction, it's an automatic signal of lust. Some men do try to hide it. They act as though they're looking past you, or pretend their gaze just accidentally landed on you. But watch closely. If you keep catching his eyes returning to you every few moments, if you notice him holding your gaze just a little too long before nervously breaking it, that's no accident. That's interest turning into heat. Here's another piece of the puzzle. Men often use eye contact as a way of testing. If he holds your gaze and you hold his back, that tells him it's safe to show you more of his feelings. If you glance away too quickly, he might back off. It's like this quiet conversation happening with no words at all. And when his desire rises, that silent conversation becomes more charged. And let's be real, eye contact can feel electric. Have you ever been in the same space with a man who couldn't stop looking at you, and the tension built so much it almost demanded something to happen? That's exactly what's running through his head. He's imagining, he's hoping, and his eyes are carrying the message long before his mouth does. The most fascinating part is the contradiction. On one hand, he wants to stare endlessly. On the other, he's afraid of making it too obvious, so he goes back and forth, staring, looking away, staring again, pretending not to stare, then catching himself in the act. Once you know the pattern, it can even seem funny, but it's also very telling. So if you're curious about whether a man is secretly turned on, don't just listen to what he says. Pay attention to his eyes. Notice where they drift when you speak, how quickly they snap back to you, and how fast he looks away once you catch him. His words might be guarded, his mouth can cover things up, but his eyes, they're a direct window into what he's feeling, because when a man is aroused, his eyes don't just look, they crave. He becomes extra playful or starts teasing. When a man is horny, one of the most obvious and sometimes funniest signs is how he suddenly shifts into the most playful version of himself. It's almost like he has extra energy he can't contain. He fidgets, he laughs more, he's cracking jokes, and he starts trying to grab your attention in a boyish, mischievous way. You might wonder, why does he suddenly seem like a teenager again? The truth is, it's not immaturity. It's his desire needing an outlet. Here's what's happening when he's turned on. His energy is building up and it needs to go somewhere. Not every man is bold enough to express it with straight words or physical moves right away. So instead, he pours it into being playful. That's why you'll see him teasing you, making small jokes, or picking on something little about you just to get a reaction. It's not really about the joke. It's about creating that spark of back and forth attention. Think of teasing as his way of testing closeness without being too direct. He's basically asking, can we laugh together? Can we share this private little bubble of fun? Because when you laugh, when you tease back, when you join in, it feeds the attraction he's already feeling. Imagine this. You're at dinner and instead of focusing on his food, he starts joking about how you're holding your fork. He grins when you roll your eyes. He keeps pressing the joke just to see if you'll keep playing along. That's no accident. That's him trying to flirt in a way that feels less risky while still letting his desire show through. Sometimes the playfulness turns into light touches. Maybe he bumps your shoulder when you're walking, steals a bite from your plate, or playfully wrestles you for the remote. On the surface, it looks like harmless fun, but underneath, it's his way of crossing barriers, testing your comfort, and sneaking in physical closeness. It's his way of saying, saying, I want to touch you, but I'll do it as a game so it feels safe. And here's the catch. When a man is aroused, this playfulness often carries nervous energy. He might laugh too loudly at his own joke or repeat the same move more than once. It's not because he's run out of ideas, it's because he's trying to keep things light while his body is screaming for more. What's actually happening is tension rising. Playfulness builds chemistry. It lets both of you step into a sort of dance. You tease, he teases back, you push, he pulls, and suddenly the air between you feels charged. That's exactly what he's chasing. Now, does this mean every guy who jokes with you is secretly turned on? Of course not. Some men are just naturally funny, but you'll notice the difference when his teasing pairs with other signals, the longer looks, the change in his tone, the playful touches. When those things stack together, the teasing isn't random at all. It's his desire in disguise. So if you notice a man suddenly turning up the charm, getting cheeky, doing everything possible to keep your attention through jokes and play, understand this. He's not just trying to make you laugh. That's him trying to build closeness, to shift a light-hearted connection into a playful spark, and from that spark into something deeper. At the heart of it, teasing is really just attraction wearing a playful grin, and then it happens. His focus slips, and his body betrays him. One of the clearest signs that a man is turned on is how easily his attention scatters. You'll notice it almost right away. He starts fumbling over his words, losing his train of thought, or zoning out halfway through a sentence. And the reason is simple. His mind isn't fully on the subject anymore. Part of him hears you, but the other part has already raced ahead, imagining scenarios he isn't about to say out loud. It can happen while you're talking about completely ordinary things. Maybe you're telling him about your day at work, sharing a funny story about a friend, or even listing groceries you need to buy. Suddenly, you catch him drifting. His eyes glaze for a moment. He laughs at the wrong time, or he forgets the last thing you said. That isn't boredom, that's distraction. And the distraction is you. When men are aroused, their bodies respond before their minds can catch up. Their pulse quickens, their breathing shifts, hormones start flooding their system, and while all this is happening, their ability to focus on anything else drops sharply. Desire takes over, pulling their thoughts away from the conversation no matter how hard they try to stay present. That's why, in those moments, he might pretend to act normal, but you'll notice the restless movements, the way he keeps adjusting his seat, shifting his posture, leaning closer without realizing it. His body quietly reveals the truth. Another sign you'll see is the way his orientation changes. When a man is in that state, he often points his whole body toward you. His shoulders, his knees, even his feet line up in your direction. It's as if he's drawn by some invisible pull. All his energy turns to you. He may not notice it himself, but subconsciously he's aligning everything toward you because in that moment you are his center of attention. Sometimes the signs come out in small, restless actions. He fiddles with a pen, rolls something between his fingers, runs his hand through his hair, or taps his foot against the floor. These are nervous outlets, little ways his body tries to deal with the overflow of energy desire creates. To you, it might look like he's just restless or distracted, but really it's him trying to handle the storm happening inside him. What makes it even clearer is the contrast. In one moment, he tries to keep things casual and stick with normal conversation. In the next, he zones out, misses details, or repeats himself. Sometimes he grows quiet, almost as if he's lost in thought. That silence isn't lack of interest, it's his imagination running ahead of him, painting pictures he doesn't feel he can speak out loud. And here's where many women misread things. They see the distracted look, the absent-minded mistakes, the zoning out, and they think, oh, he's not really listening, maybe he's not interested. But the truth is often the opposite. That wandering attention, those stumbles, that restless energy, it's one of the strongest signs that his mind is completely on you, just not in the simple conversational way. So next time you notice a guy forgetting what he was saying, stumbling over his words, or suddenly shifting around when you're nearby, don't brush it off. Watch how his body angles toward you. Notice how no matter how hard he tries, his attention keeps slipping back to you. Men can try to act calm, they can hold back their words, but their bodies are much harder to control. Their focus, their nervous movements, their small tells, they all speak louder than the words coming out of their mouth. When a man is turned on, his body gives it away every time, and once you learn how to read these signs, you'll start spotting them everywhere. So let's tie everything together. We've gone over the 5 behaviors men often show when they're feeling desire. First, they find excuses to touch, reaching out or closing the space between you. Second, their voice shifts, lower, slower, almost magnetic. Third, their eyes betray them, with long, lingering looks followed by quick glances away. Fourth, they tease and joke, using humor to cover up what they really feel. And fifth, their focus slips, their body language shifts, and they keep circling back to you no matter what the topic is. Here's the key point. Men may think they're great at hiding what they're feeling, but the truth is they're not. Their energy, their little habits, their physical reactions, they all reveal the story without them meaning to. And when you know how to spot those signals, you don't have to sit there wondering, does he actually want me, or am I imagining things? You'll know. And why does knowing matter? Because awareness puts the choice in your hands. When you can read what's really going on, you're not guessing anymore. You can decide, do I lean in? Do I set a clear line? Or do I just enjoy the confidence of knowing what's happening in his head? That clarity is powerful. But here's something important to keep in mind. Just because a man is feeling desire doesn't mean you owe him anything in return. Attraction is natural, but you always get to decide what happens next. The point here isn't to change how you act. The point is to understand him better. The more you understand men, the smoother it becomes to handle attraction, connection, and relationships on your own terms. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these signals have you noticed the most in men? Have you ever caught a guy accidentally giving himself away through one of these signs? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to read about your experiences. And if you found this video eye-opening, do me a favor, tap that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with a friend who's always second-guessing whether a guy is into her. She'll appreciate it, because when you finally understand the truth behind male behavior, you stop overthinking and you start choosing. At the end of the day, men might think they're good at hiding desire, but they're really not. Their touch, their eyes, their voice, their playful energy, it all gives them away. And once you know how to spot the signs, you'll never have to sit there second guessing if he's into you. You'll see the truth for yourself. But remember, just because a man shows desire doesn't mean you owe him anything. The real power is in your awareness. When you understand what's really going on, you get to choose how to respond. That's confidence, that's clarity, and that's what makes you truly in control.